Parents stole my med school fund for my brother's art. Then the dean dropped a bombshell. I always knew my brother, Levi, was a golden child. Ever since we were kids, Mom and Dad showered him with praise for his creativity, while I was the one quietly acing every exam, shadowing doctors, working weekends at the pharmacy. Medicine was my dream, and I did everything right to earn it. I got into Columbia Med. Full acceptance, with a generous scholarship, but I still needed the family college fund we've been building since I was 10. My parents had always promised it was for med school. That was the plan. Then, 2 weeks before tuition was due, I got the call. "Sweetheart, we're really proud of you," my mother said, voice trembling. But we had to use the fund for Levi. He got accepted to an elite art residency in Berlin. Once in a lifetime. I couldn't speak. My chest went hollow. "You what?" My father jumped in defensive. "It's not just art. It's expression. Culture. He's gifted. You have a scholarship. Can't you take a loan for the rest?" They had emptied everything. Tens of thousands. All for Levi to find himself sketching street graffiti in Europe. I was devastated, but I refused to quit. I emailed the med school's dean, Dr. Halvorsen, explaining the situation and asking for any possible financial aid or extension. A week later, I was called into his office. He looked at me, silent for a moment, then said, "We need to talk about your family." My stomach flipped. "What about them?" The dean pulled out a file. "Your parents reached out to rescind their support of your application months ago. They claimed you had mental health issues and weren't stable enough for medical school. They said you were pressuring them for money and that they feared for your safety." "What? That's insane. Why would they?" He leaned forward. "They also submitted a letter trying to transfer your place to your brother Levi." I was stunned. "They framed it as a mix-up," he continued, "but their communication was erratic and inappropriate. We suspected something was off. That's why I personally reviewed your case. I've seen your record. You deserve to be here." Tears pricked my eyes. "So I'm not expelled?" He smiled gently. "On the contrary, we've arranged a private grant to cover the difference in your tuition. Consider it an investment in someone who actually earned their place." That was the moment everything shifted. My parents' betrayal was real, but so was my strength. I moved into campus housing, cut contact with them, and threw myself into the only future I had ever wanted. A year later, Levi's Berlin gallery burned down after a failed art installation with live fireworks. I sent him a polite, "Hope you're okay" text. No replied at part 2, white coats and burnt bridges. It's been 7 months since the dean dropped that bombshell and my life was turned inside out. Med school is brutal, but I love every second of it. I've never felt more sure of where I'm meant to be. Anatomy labs, ER rotations, late-night study groups with other exhausted, caffeine-fueled future doctors. It's not glamorous, but it's real. It's mine. Levi, on the other hand, had been quiet since the fire. Not a word. No thanks a message. No apology for money, the lies, or the attempt to take my spot. Until last week, it started with an email. Subject, help. "Hey, I know you probably hate me. I don't blame you. Things got out of control. I need to talk. I'm back in New York. Please. Levi." I didn't reply right away. I didn't know if I should reply at all. But something in his message, it wasn't the usual arrogance. There was something hollow, even desperate. So I agreed to meet him. We sat in a dingy coffee shop near Columbia. He looked different. Tired, thinner, less like the golden boy and more like a kid lost in a city too big for his talent. "I messed up," he said, not making eye contact. "Which part?" I asked flatly. "The money? The fake mental health claim? Trying to steal my seat in med school?" He flinched. "I didn't know they did that. About the letter. I swear, that was Mom." I blinked. "You expect me to believe you didn't tell them to try and take my spot?" "I joked about it once," he admitted. "I didn't think they'd actually try." I sat back. It was the first time I realized how deep our parents' favoritism ran. They were so desperate to make Levi into something. anything. They were willing to destroy me for it. What do you want, Levi? He looked at me with bloodshot eyes. They cut me off after the fire, said I embarrassed them. I've got nowhere to go, no job, no art shows. No one returns my emails anymore. I stared at him, torn between fury and pity. Then something occurred to me. What did they do with the insurance money? He blinked. What? The gallery fire. That space was insured, right? He hesitated. Yeah, a decent payout. And they kept it. Said it was in their name since they funded the gallery. Of course, they'd used my fund to pay for it, then cashed out and left him the wreckage. A strange silence settled between us. For the first time, I didn't just feel like a victim. I felt free from them, from the weight of always being second place in their eyes. I stood up, grabbed my coat. I'm sorry, Levi, I said, and meant it, but I'm not your safety net. He looked up, eyes wet. So that's it. No, that's me finally choosing myself. Epilogue. A year later, I walked across the stage in my white coat ceremony, surrounded by professors who believed in me and classmates who become family. Mom and Dad weren't invited. Levi, he sent a painting anonymously to the med school. It was a small piece, an abstract of a phoenix rising from a crumbling building. No signature, but I knew his style. I hung it above my desk, because I've learned something. You can't choose the family you're born into, but you can choose who you become despite them. Would you like a part 3 with a final twist, or for this to become a screenplay or novella? You said, make interesting ending. ChatGPT said, absolutely. Here's an interesting, emotionally satisfying, and slightly shocking ending. A part 3, the final twist, which wraps the story with a punch while staying grounded in character and realism. Part 3, Bloodlines. 6 months into my second year, things finally started to stabilize. I was thriving, top 10% of my class, on track for a competitive residency in trauma surgery and mentoring first years. That's when Dean Halvorsen asked to meet me again. I assumed it was about a scholarship renewal, maybe a research opportunity, but the expression on his face said otherwise. He closed his office door gently and gestured for me to sit. I wasn't sure whether to share this with you, he began slowly, but something's come up, something you have a right to know. I sat forward, heart already racing. We received an anonymous report to our ethics committee. Someone sent us a copy of your brother Levi's art residency application to Berlin. I blinked. Why would they? It included a forged letter of recommendation from you, with your full name, student ID, and Columbia Med letterhead. What? My blood ran cold. He slid the papers across the desk. It was my name, my fake signature, a letter raving about Levi's brilliant artistic insights into anatomy and human psyche, claiming we collaborated on a neuroscience art project. I never wrote this, I said, voice shaking. I believe you, he said firmly. But forging a medical student's academic recommendation is serious, both legally and institutionally. We're opening an investigation. The Berlin program is cooperating. I felt nauseous. They're going to bring Levi in for questioning? I asked. Levi already confessed. Apparently, he wasn't the mastermind behind it. I frowned. What do you mean? The dean hesitated, then said, the person who sent us the tip also attached a voicemail. From your mother. He clicked play. Her voice poured from the speaker, shrill and urgent. Levi, listen. Just send it. Your brother never checks his school account. He'll never know. This is your future. We owe you this. That money was always meant for something meaningful, not scalpel work. Just put his name on the form. I froze. Dean Halvorsen stopped the recording. We've already reported it to university's legal team, and we recommend you consider pressing charges. If not against your brother, then certainly against your parents. The room swam a little. It wasn't just money. It wasn't favoritism. It was sabotage, systematic sabotage. I'd like to make a statement, I said quietly, to press charges, and I want it on record that I'm cutting all ties. The dean nodded, then added gently, "There's more." I looked up. "We have an alumni donor, a trauma surgeon who came from a similar background. She heard your story. She wants to fund the rest of your education, anonymously." I smiled, tears blurring the edges of my vision. Then I stood up, straighter than I'd ever stood before. Final scene, 3 years later. It's the day of the match. My name flashes on the screen. Dr. Evelyn Sharp, matched, Johns Hopkins Hospital, trauma surgery residency. The auditorium explodes in cheers. I step outside into the spring sunlight. No parents, no brother, just my future, open wide. My phone buzzes once. A message from an unknown number. "I'm in recovery. Getting clean. I'm sorry. I hope you're still rising. L." I stare at it for a moment. Then I turn off the phone, pocket it, and walk forward. Into the ER. Into the life I built. By myself.